All right, let's dive in. When you're polishing up your resume, you think about all those skills you've worked so hard to get. Project management, maybe some fancy software. But what if the single most critical skill for pretty much any job is one that almost nobody bothers to list? So, what is it? What's this invisible but essential skill? Give it a thought. Is it some kind of next level coding? A super niche leadership style? It's actually this, just knowing how to stay safe. Now, I know it doesn't sound as flashy as some other skills, but trust me, mastering workplace health and safety is a real competency, one that protects you, your coworkers, and the whole business. Okay, so let's really break down why this unseen skill is so foundational. To get started, we really need to see it for what it is, a core competency. So what are we really talking about here? It's the ability to not just know the procedures, but to actually apply them to prevent accidents and injuries. Think of it less like a rule book you have to memorize and more like active, practical knowledge you use every single day. But why is getting good at this so smart for you and your company? Well, it goes way beyond just following some rules so you don't get in trouble. First and foremost, it just flat out reduces risk. I mean, when you and your whole team are competent in safety, you can spot hazards before they turn into problems. This proactive way of thinking directly leads to way fewer workplace injuries. It's a game changer. Next up, it makes sure you're in compliance. And for any business, this is huge. Being competent in safety means what you're doing lines up with legal standards, like the ones from OSHA. This isn't just about dodging fines, it's about being a responsible, legit operation. And finally, it really boosts well-being. A place that genuinely cares about safety builds a culture of trust. And when people feel safe and protected, morale goes up, productivity goes up, and people actually want to stick around. It's a total win-win. So what do you actually need to have in your back pocket? Let's open up what we'll call your workplace safety toolkit and take a look at the key pieces of knowledge you absolutely need. The bedrock of all of this is just being able to spot danger. And experts usually group hazards into 5 main types. Physical, like slips and falls. Chemical, from nasty substances. Biological, like germs and viruses. Ergonomic, from a bad desk setup. And even psychological, like workplace stress. Spotting these is step 1. Okay, but what happens if something does go wrong? This is where knowing your emergency procedures it's non-negotiable. This means you need to know those fire evacuation routes like the back of your hand, understand the basics of first aid, and know exactly what to do for a chemical spill or a lockdown. Now let's zoom in on a really specific but super critical procedure, lockout/tagout, or LOTO for short. This is all about making sure that dangerous machines are properly shut off and stay off while someone is doing maintenance. It's an absolutely vital way to control hazardous energy. And hey, the toolkit has a few more essential items. We're talking about knowing how to properly use your personal protective equipment, or PPE. Simple, safe work habits like lifting with your knees. Understanding those safety data sheets for chemicals. And this one's huge, knowing the exact procedure for reporting incidents or even close calls. So you have all this knowledge. Great. But how do you actually show that you've got it? Let's talk about putting that knowledge into action and how this whole competency is demonstrated and, measured. So what does it actually look like when someone's got this down? It's really about their behavior. It's someone who spots hazards without being told, who follows the rules even when no one's watching, who uses their gear the right way, and who speaks up the second they see something unsafe. And companies have a few different ways to see if you have these skills. They might assess you through direct observation, just watching you do your job. They might run simulations like a fire drill. You'll probably take knowledge tests on the rules, or you might even have an interview where you have to explain a safety protocol. This brings us to our last big idea, and honestly, it might be the most important one, building a proactive culture. Because safety isn't just one person's job, it's something everyone owns. Great safety cultures are built. They don't just happen. And you've got to keep them going with non-stop training. That means solid training for new hires, regular refreshers for everyone else, specific training for high-risk jobs, and constant reinforcement through things like quick daily safety meetings. And all of this really points to a huge shift in thinking, which is captured perfectly here. The goal is to move beyond reactive measures to preventative strategies. A truly safe workplace doesn't just clean up messes, it builds systems so those messes don't happen in the first place. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. In your workplace, is safety just a rulebook everyone has to follow? Or is it a culture that everyone helps to build? The answer to that question changes everything. Thanks for tuning in.